Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I say with a little prayer, Gananam Swam Ganapatihim Havamahe Kabin Kabina Ubamastramastamam Testarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspada Anashvan Udivishida Sadhanam Om Sri Mahaganapatiye Namaha. This is a Hindu prayer to the Lord, remover of all obstacles, Lord Ganesha. And with that, we in Indians living in Auckland group, Indian Newslink, and Indian High Commission in Wellington, we have the greatest pleasure in welcoming Sri Muktesh Pardeshi, High Commissioner of India to New Zealand. New Zealand is an extremely fortunate country to have such a person of eminence and such a person of action as the High Commissioner here. I can say that with pride because in my 56 years of career, I have met no less than 700 to 800 ambassadors and high commissioners and more than 5,000 diplomats of the Indian Foreign Service. The best of the cream in the world is people from our Indian Foreign Service. I would like to submit my pranams to all of them doing such a great job all over the world, particularly Muktesh Pardeshi ji, whom I have known incidentally for more than 20 years. And he was here in New Zealand in 2002. Some of you might have just come in at that point of time into New Zealand. He brings freshness, he brings energy, he brings dynamism, and most important of all, he brings kindness and understanding, which is the true trait of a diplomat. Muktesh ji, please don't blush. I'm being very truthful. And it's very rare for people to get a high commissioner of this caliber because we know what it is to deserve a good high commissioner. And just by way of introduction, Pardeshi joined Indian Foreign Service in 1991 when I was serving in a part of the world which was going through tumultuous times when Iraq had occupied Kuwait and Mr. Pardeshi's predecessor was the second secretary, Sanjeev Kohli, in Kuwait at that point of time. So he joined the Indian Foreign Service when India was really showing its true diplomatic excellence in West Asia. And then from there on, he progressed. He went to Mexico. It's very rare for a diplomat to go back to the same country for the second time, which Mr. Pardeshi did after 20 years. He went back to Mexico as the ambassador, where he excelled in his position as the head of mission. He took the bilateral trade between the two countries from 5.9 billion US dollars to 10.2 or 10.3 billion US dollars. He could have done the same thing here, but unfortunately, the environment is different. We'll talk about it later. And most importantly, if most of you have experienced how fast the Indian passport service is right across the world, it's entirely due to Mr. Pardeshi. He modernized the Indian passport system. And during his tenure as what was called, I think, the chief passport officer, the number of passports issued doubled from 6 million to 12 million. I'm talking only of memory because I do not have my notes. Say from our Indian point of view, from 60 lakhs to 1.2 crores within that short period of time. He won several awards for his feat in the passport section. And I'm sure he might have come under the eyes of some of the powerful people in North Block. And we are very fortunate to have Mr. Muktesh Pardeshi as our High Commissioner. Sir, we are going to ask you in a few minutes for an opening statement. Please don't make any statements that will be asked later as questions. So we do not want you to preclude any of the questions that will be asked. With that, I'll ask Nitin Suri, our technical expert, the person who brings together our events. Nitin, can you please say something and then I give them back, get back to me.
Thank you, Venkat. On behalf of the Indian community who are members of the group Indians Living in Auckland, and admins of the group, I would like to welcome His Excellency, the High Commissioner of the Republic of India to New Zealand, Shri Muktesh Pardeshi, to this discussion regarding the current issues affecting the Indian community. To foster a positive and constructive discussion with the respected High Commissioner of India to NZ, I would like to advise some ground rules. Please kindly mute your audio. You're free to keep your video on. No political or religious discussions will be allowed. Please do appreciate His Excellency is here at our invitation. Please submit any other questions if you have in the comment section. And if time permitting, we'll be able to answer or question the respected High Commissioner about those. Please note, this discussion will be recorded and put on YouTube and on Facebook later. And also, as the meeting admin, I reserve the right to remove any individual who is not in strict compliance. Indians living in Auckland is a group which helps the Indian community either by permitting discussing social issues or also permitting ads to help the community. So thank you, Venkat. I'll hand it back to you in this case.
Thank you, Nitin. A word about Rashna Tata. She's a champion of the media in New Zealand. She has had the privilege of having worked with the two of the largest media houses, mainstream media houses in New Zealand. I don't know whether it's a compliment or otherwise, but she has wide experience. She's now in the insurance industry. She belongs to the illustrious Parsi community. For those of you who are not from Auckland, Rashna and I, we live in East Auckland, in a place called Pakuranga. I think rightly that place should be called Parsi Ranga because 98% of Parsis in New Zealand live in Pakuranga. So there is a petition going to the local MP to rename Pakuranga as Parsi Ranga. Rashna, you please come in for a couple of words and then we'll request the High Commissioner to start.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Venkat. As Venkat has introduced me, my name is Rashna Tata. Of course, he has, the other praise words, weren't really required, but all the same, very dear friend. So we have you as our guest today, the Indian High Commissioner of the Republic of India to New Zealand, Muktesh Pardeshi ji. Good afternoon to you, sir. I have also read about your illustrious career history and have to say was very, very impressed. This is a joint discussion co-hosted by the Indian High Commission of the Republic of India in New Zealand and the Indians Living in New Zealand Facebook group, along with the Indian Newslink newspaper. We're absolutely delighted to have you with us today, High Commissioner, and thank you for making the time to address us, the members of the Indians Living in Auckland group and the readers of the Indian Newslink. We also have with us various guests and viewers across both India and New Zealand. So the Indians Living in Auckland Facebook group represents the largest group of the Indian community in Auckland, 48,000 members and growing every day. We truly are the voice of Indians living in Auckland. This group provides members of the Indian community a forum to talk, discuss, and keep abreast with all matters that are of concern to them. Small everyday topics concerning their daily lives or significant news and events, both in India and New Zealand. This Facebook page also provides members with a live platform to ask the questions that are relevant to them and raise issues of concern. It keeps members updated on relevant news and views amongst the Indian community here, and that is of value to them personally and as members of the community. It also gives them the opportunity to be heard and provides them with a collective voice. We hold these live discussions once every month with an important guest, in collaboration with, like I said, the Indian Newslink newspaper and its very versatile editor, Mr. Venkatraman. Before every live discussion, we actually throw the floor open to our members and ask them to send us their questions, we pick up the most frequently asked questions and put them to our guest of that day. Over to you, Venkatji.
Thank you, Rashna. Without much ado, once again, High Commissioner, we welcome you to this group discussion. And could you kindly give us an opening statement before? I can tell you that we received something like a couple of 100 questions. Obviously, we could not take all the 100 questions. We have abridged them to about 10 or 11. And you would have guessed as to what kind of questions that would have been asked. So Rashna will do that. Before that, High Commissioner, if you can tell us what the Indian High Commission does, because the perception of the public could be different. I know that the High Commission is a highly respected institution, and you have brought so much energy into it, and we've got the benefit of participants from the Indian High Commission. Over to you, High Commissioner. Once again, welcome.
Namaskar, kia ora, and good morning to participants joining from India. First of all, I would like to thank the Facebook group, Indians Living in Auckland, Indian Newslink, and High Commission of India team for arranging this virtual platform for an interactive session with the Indian community members. This is being hosted by a very eminent journalist, Mr. Venkat Raman, who had been recently awarded with Member of New Zealand Order of Merit for his tireless works for community service over the years. So please accept our felicitations and congratulations from all of us who are gathered on this virtual platform. I'm very happy that Mrs. Rashna Tata and Mr. Nitin Suri, they have come up with this idea for an interactive session with the High Commission, where we can take questions from the community, from the people who are pursuing High Commission's activities from India as well. We have been doing such open houses from time to time in physical as well as in online setting. 3 months back, we had similar online exercise championed by the other Indian newspaper, the Indian Weekender, in October. Immediately after announcement was made with regard to Residency 21, because there was some anxiety in the minds of the migrants who wanted to apply, and they were seeking special assistance, special drive from the High Commission to fast track their pending applications. And I'm very happy that we are meeting again. I make a practice wherever I go in a small town or small city in New Zealand. My first, I reserve one evening for an interaction with the Indian community. In fact, I make a point to host them over dinner. And I remember a month back, I was in Inver Kargil and I hosted the Southland Indian community. They were delighted to host Indian High Commissioner for the first time. And I could, the thrill that they had, they always felt isolated in Inver Kargil. So the connect with the High Commission, they enjoyed that evening, and they were more than reassured that High Commission cares for them. So I make this as a professional and personal practice that wherever I have been going, I interact with the community members and students. I would like to convey my greetings on the occasion of 73rd Republic Day. We are meeting within a few days of the Republic Day. We had a grand celebration in India. Here, due to traffic light setting, we had to curtail some of the events, but we had a very small but I would say joyful celebration at the residence of the High Commissioner. On that day, we launched 3 publications, and all 3 are path-breaking efforts made by the High Commission. I would like to share with the audience these 3 initiatives because they pertain to promotion of cultural understanding. They pertain to promote business awareness between the 2 countries, and this is also the initiative to unify the Indian community by providing a list of Indian organizations and entities throughout New Zealand. So first, I will show you this book is about 101 Maori Proverbs. For the first time, we have ventured into compiling and publishing into Hindi 101 Maori Proverbs. The idea behind this is to introduce a little bit of Maori culture amongst Indian community. We reside in New Zealand and we must appreciate, we must become part of local folklore and tradition. We must respect local heritage. So this is a very humble initiative by the High Commission to record and to compile at one place 101 Maori proverbs into Hindi. The second book which we have produced, this is for the business people, traders, exporters from India who want to come and engage with New Zealand market. This 24-page booklet is a primer of how to do business, particularly exports to New Zealand. During last 2 years, I have felt the need for such a document, which can document all online resources, the names and emails and addresses of New Zealand bodies which are related to export fill. So for the first time, this has been done. This has taken some time. This has been done with the help of a consultancy group called Duco Consultancy, and I would like to thank them. This chapter is a part of larger project. With over next 2-3 months, we'll have some 100-page document called Doing Business in New Zealand, a guide for Indian exporters and investors. You will see that this booklet is concentrating only on the export aspect. The comprehensive publication will include all aspects relating to doing business with New Zealand. And finally, yet another humble attempt made by the High Commission to document some 200 organizations, temples, gurudwaras, language schools, Indian ethnic media groups in one document. This is an e-directory. Perhaps for the first time, such a comprehensive booklet has been produced. All these publications are available on the website of the High Commission. This has been done with the single purpose of serving the community. We intend to make this an annual exercise. Every year in January, we'll update and put a new version. But this year, to begin with, we are prepared to bring out a revised edition in the second half of the year, considering that this is the first time that we are doing this. And maybe we might have omitted several organizations. There may have been mistakes. So please feel free to send inputs, your addresses, the names of the office bearers to us, so that those are included in the revised edition of this community, Indian community e-directory in a few months. I would like to give a snapshot of consular services. Well, at the High Commission, we do multiple activities, starting from enhancing bilateral and political relations, to promote business, to promote people-to-people contact. Today's discussion is primarily about the public services, community outreach, cultural connect, and how do we deliver public services to members of the community and New Zealanders alike. We at the High Commission we give public services like issuance of passports or emergency certificates, birth and death registration. If you're renouncing your citizenship, then you have to come to High Commission. If you need to surrender your Indian passport, you have to come to the High Commission. If you wish to attest any document to be used back home, you have to approach High Commission. We do power of attorney. We provide life certificate for pensioners. We give visas who are on New Zealand passports and OCI cards. So there's a bouquet of public services which are rendered by the High Commission. And every year, 40 to 50,000 documents are issued each year. And I'm not including e-visas. If we include e-visas, that every year, then the 75,000 documents are issued by the High Commission. In last 15 years, and my team has compiled this information, when we began OCI card in 2006, since then we have issued 65,000 OCI cards over the last 15 years. So you can imagine every day roughly 200-300 documents we are granting. In this connection, I would like to thank our Honorary Consul in Auckland, Mr. Bhaudhillan, who is primary contact for people living in Auckland. He has rendered exemplary service, and we should acknowledge his contribution in representing India in an honorary capacity in Auckland. If things go well, then this year we'll have our new building where we intend to give better services to our people. We'll have better consular halls where people can read the Indian newspapers, magazines, they can access Indian books. We'll have a place to exhibit. We'll have a conference room. We'll have a multi-purpose hall. And I have been announcing that any registered Indian community organization, they will get complimentary access to High Commission multi-purpose hall to organize their annual general meeting, annual day, dance schools. If they want to have annual day, they don't have to go anywhere. We'll have a hall with a capacity, sitting capacity of 300. So I mean, the smaller events can be held in public interest at the High Commission. I'll be appealing and I'll be approaching community groups for. I want to make the High Commission as a hub of Indian activities, a hub of outreach with the community. I want to display some of the regional arts and crafts and material. So the gallery, when people walk, they will see representations of different states and regions, particularly from the communities which are represented here in New Zealand. So in due course, I will be appealing, if you have anything which you'd like to donate to the Indian High Commission to be displayed in our gallery, we'll acknowledge, for example, if there is a group from Telangana and they want to donate a piece representing the heritage of that particular state, we'll say that we'll accept that, display somewhere with the compliments from Telangana Association of New Zealand. This is a way of the whole idea that people feel that this is their building and they are represented. We by now we have all. I mean, the people from all over India are there represented. So let's the new building become a vibrant place to represent the India. International students, I have visited all universities. Again, maybe I'm one of the first one to have visited all universities. I have also visited some major tertiary institutes. We have remained engaged with the students. We have encouraged them to form Indian Students Association wherever they are. And we have helped some students group In forming an association, we have also declared that each association, student association, can expect some financial grant from us to organize one event in a year. They can call it India Day, they can have it in the form of Diwali, they can have it in the form of the Holi. The whole idea is on the campuses where we have for 500 Indian students, they get one day to associate with India, and through their activity, we can promote cultural goodwill and understanding with New Zealand and with the Kiwi students. With regard to pathway to residency, I'm sure there'll be some questions. During last 3 months, we had an abnormal surge of passport applications. 3 times. So the monthly intake of applications went up by 3 times because people wanted to update their documents. There were many applications for name change, date of birth change in place of birth. All those have been now, I think, rendered. So yesterday, my team gave me an update. We do not have in the High Commission more than 450 applications under process. During last 3 months, we might have done 3,000-4,000 passport applications. So I hope they have the new passports in their hands. In case anybody has not received and they're waiting for the passport to make their application, you can email us on passport email and we will try to expedite. I wanted to share some information about ICWF. This is called Indian Community Welfare Fund. We have a corpus through which we would like to help any distressed Indian in any part of New Zealand. What do we do? If there are accidents, I know most of the time accidents are covered by ACC, but there have been deaths. You will not believe during last since April last year, we had to deal with at least 21 deaths. We had to provide help not only in terms of documentation, but to arrange their funerals. Last 2 years have been very difficult. Sometimes even the dead bodies could not be sent to India. In some cases, parents are able to take care, but in most of the cases, I found the family background was very modest and they could not have afforded to take the body back to India. So in 21 death cases, we have spent roughly $130,000 by providing, by arranging their funerals or arranging to send their body to India. So through this platform, I would like to reach out to all Indian nationals residing in any part of New Zealand. Friend, if you come across any unfortunate incident like this, reach out to the Indian Association in your town, reach out to us through them. We will take care of the expenses relating to their funerals, or if we have to chip in to send their dead body to India, it will be there with the family in grief. We during last year and a half, we have assisted more than 1,000 individuals or organizations. Since 1st April last year, the beneficiaries have been 1,021. We have either sent them food packets, or we have arranged their medical assistance, or we have helped them in funerals. So in 15-20 months, we have helped more than 1,000 people and institutions. So please remain in contact, and office bearers of the Indian associations, they should know that in cases like this, High Commission is there to help out. In terms of cultural connect, When I joined my post, I had gotten approval to organize a Festival of India, but due to COVID-19 restrictions, the festival is on hold. Whenever it happens, the whole idea is to have a grand celebration of Indian arts, culture. We showcase dances in different parts of New Zealand. As you know, celebration of yoga, celebration of Mahatma Gandhi Jayanti, Diwali, Pongal, Baishakhi, Annakut, they all have become now part of a regular calendar in New Zealand. We proudly support and help any event in any form happening at the Indian Parliament, be it Diwali or Pongal, and we would like to continue such a cultural connect. I was very delighted to know that Mrs. Rashna Tata, this is one community we have not done anything, and I promise let's do something with High Commission and the Parsi community together.
Thanks.
So with this brief remarks, I'll stop here, and then I look forward to answering to the questions.
Thank you very much. Venkat, would you like me to carry on?
Yeah, carry on.
Certainly. Thank you very much again, sir. Very delightful to hear what you had to say. And of course, I totally look forward to working with you for anything that you want to promote with the Parsi community. High Commissioner, now to start off with our questions. I am a moderator with the group, and I have been fortunate to be able to, Venkat facilitates these discussions for us, and I have been fortunate to be the moderator for these discussions. We've had 3 over, since we started in October, 1 every year, and we are most fortunate to have you one, with addressing you for the first one that we have this year. Our first question to you, sir. High Commissioner, we start our discussion today with a question that was the most frequently asked by all. There are about 800 migrant workers and temporary visa holders of Indian origin stranded in India for almost 2 years. What efforts have been undertaken by the Office of the High Commission in Wellington with the New Zealand government to facilitate their reason? Over to you, sir.
Well, the genesis of this problem goes back to the early days of the outbreak of COVID-19. I remember in March 2020, when borders were closed, anybody from New Zealand who had visited India, they were first stuck there, including New Zealand passport holders, New Zealanders. They ran 3 flights by Air New Zealand to airlift some 500 New Zealanders. And thereafter, some 3,500 stuck Kiwi travelers, they took the benefit of Air India Vande Bharat flights to return to New Zealand. The border settings which commenced in March 2020, even the New Zealand citizens were not allowed. So first New Zealanders were allowed, then the permanent residents were allowed. And those days the thinking was and assurance was given that in a gradual manner, the migrants and temporary visa holders will be granted exemption. Last year, in my conversation with, including a chat which I had in the middle of last year with Honorable Prime Minister, that time it was hoped that beginning August, New Zealand will be reconnecting to the world. And some solution will come up after August. Precisely in August, we had 3 months of lockdown in Auckland. And the government, we didn't hear any new development from the government. In the meanwhile, this matter has been raised in telephone and virtual talks between two foreign ministers, and the last the foreign minister talks was held on 5th November, 2 months ago. This has also featured in Foreign Office consultations. I have made people in the MFAT and regularly raise this issue. I have raised this issue with the Director General of Health, and when I raised this issue with him, we raised the issue regarding mutual acceptance of vaccine certificates. But I believe his domain is related only to the health aspect. On the immigration aspect, he responded to me that that would be better dealt by the Immigration New Zealand. This has appeared in a form of Parliament question in Parliament, to which we have replied. Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Delhi has made démarche with New Zealand High Commissioner in Delhi. I believe at the group which is stuck in India, they had made a march up to New Zealand High Commission, and they have been on sit-in dharna for some time. I see their social media posts. Very recently, I have written in the first week of January, precisely on 6th January, with the beginning of the new year, I have written comprehensively to Honorable Minister of Immigration, with a copy to Minister for Ethnic Communities and CEO in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade. This had been going on at the diplomatic level. I would suggest, each country has a public grievance mechanism. As I was heading passport service in India, anybody who was aggrieved with the service, or they found that the rules were not interpreted correctly, in case of an individual or a group of people, they would make a representation through public grievance portal. I hope in New Zealand also there is a system like that, and maybe the Office of Ombudsman might be dealing with the public grievances. So all those who have genuine grievance, they should also avail of the government provided channels of grievance redressal. While we keep on raising the matter with the New Zealand government. Ultimately what happens, visa and entry to a particular country, it's a sovereign right of a government. And the standard response from the New Zealand government would be that, we are not able to even get New Zealanders. MIQ system, the people have gone to the court against MIQ system because the lottery system is not the most rational method of allocating government's space. So people who are aggrieved, they have taken legal recourse. My appeal, my advice to the people would be that they should take benefit of the government grievance redressal system to make consolidated démarches. They can consolidate their argument and put up to the public grievance body in New Zealand. If there are any legal loopholes which they find, well, all options should be utilized.
Absolutely.
Maybe some of the things I would like to discuss offline with the concerned group, and maybe during the next week, those who are championing the cause of stranded people, we can have a separate discussion how to go about it. But from the High Commission, we have full sympathy I empathize with the situation, and I feel that 2 years has been pretty long time. They had a piece of their life in New Zealand. I
Absolutely.
have full sympathy, and this is how I write to Immigration Minister. And in fact, you'll not believe by the closing sentence uh, to the Minister of Immigration, I say, I write to Your Excellency with a sense of despair as well as hope, because it was the beginning of the new year, that with the dawn of the new year, the matter would be revisited and the plea of hundreds of offshore migrants stuck in India to allow them to re-enter New Zealand would be considered sympathetically on humanitarian grounds. So I have been very categorical and unambiguous in making démarches with the Foreign Office, but ultimately it's the New Zealand government. I also remember at a program which was organized by the Indian Newslink, and in the presence of the Director General of Health, I called for a more humane approach to be adopted by a New Zealand side.
Thank you very much, sir. Your empathetic approach, I'm sure, has reassured, many people listening today. And, you've obviously got your heart in the right place. So we know that, you will make progress wherever you can. On to my next question, sir.
1 minute, Rashna.
Aji.
I just want to tell the High Commissioner that the greatest grievance process, on a lighter note, High Commissioner, on a lighter note, the greatest grievance process we have comes once in 3 years. Rashna, to your question.
Okay, sir. This is another related question. And sir, this is a question from a very desperate reader of the Indian Newslink, and he has actually put it to Mr. Venkatraman to, make sure that this question is asked today. And I quote, "I'm a skilled migrant on a work visa who left New Zealand in May 2020 to attend to my terminally ill father. I am still not able to return to New Zealand." And like you said, it highlights the heart-wrenching story of, many, many Indians who are stuck overseas. So you've answered that, quite comprehensively. So, High Commissioner, I will move on to my next question. This is from a family of 3 people of the same family who are seriously affected by COVID-19. He says, "My wife and I are on work visas and we have lost our jobs. We have not found any other employment yet. We have no means to support ourselves and have eaten into our savings. We are Indian citizens and the New Zealand government is not helping us. We seek your advice."
Well, if they are not getting any subsidy from the New Zealand government because of job loss during the COVID-19 period, please write to us, my friend, and we'll do our best to help you in tiding over this temporary phase in your life. So please write to us. Our emails are listed on the website. And so we'll certainly do something. If you write to us by Monday, I will come back to you very soon. So by next week, we'll have something for you.
Lovely, sir. Thank you so much. I'm sure Venkatji would put that up in the paper as well, so that, there's wider accessibility for people, with wanting the same advice.
Certainly.
So my next question, from what we understand, a free trade agreement between New Zealand and India appears remote. How can the High Commission in Wellington facilitate trade and investment in India? Venkatji, please, if you would care to elaborate on this question.
Right. High Commissioner, the issue of a free trade agreement is an elongated process which has been a futile exercise for the last 15 years. I dare say that there has not been much progress, and apparently there is no political will in New Zealand to progress this aspect, although there has been a lot of rhetoric. But at the same time, there's immense potential on both sides for businesses to prosper. And I believe, like many of our readers have said, also has been championed in places like the India-New Zealand Business Council summits. There's ample scope for investment in India by New Zealand investors. But the problem is the whole gamut of operations in India is such a huge country. Where to invest, which is a state which is ideal, what are the licensing procedures, and which will be the most friendly state for what kind of investment. So if we can have a channelized process through the High Commission in Wellington, maybe all of us will be able to support such investments into India.
To add on this, see, trade and investments happen with or without free trade agreements. Unfortunately, the impression which has been created in New Zealand that trade is only done with countries with whom they have free trade agreements. In India, this perception is not there because we have only a few FTAs with select countries. So whether we have FTA or not, the time is ripe, and we are there to facilitate whether to make investment in India or to enhance trade with, both ways. With this purpose in mind, we are doing a study, and the one chapter on export, which I showed a few moments ago, this directory, the 24-page booklet, this is a kunji, is a key to how to do exports to New Zealand. In a similar manner, NZTE from New Zealand side, they publish many documents with regard to how to promote New Zealand exports to several countries. I would say the New Zealand system is very well organized. With regard to making investment into India, we have an agency in India called Invest India, and the High Commission works very closely with them. In our publication, which will be out in next 2 months, there'll be a chapter on how to make investment in India. And that will be like a hand-holding exercise for prospective investors from New Zealand. In the meanwhile, if you have any idea and you are looking for any match in India, please write to the commercial section in the High Commission with your request, and I assure you that we'll connect with a prospective partner in India through Invest India. Invest India has a team, very capable team. They are dealing with several states, and according to the necessity and requirement, they will be able to connect you with suitable matches on India side. So please feel free. The commercial team in the High Commission is headed by Mr. Manoj Sahu, who is joining this as one of the participants. Please write to him, and we will get back to you.
Thank you, High Commissioner. Perhaps Indian Newslink, we would like to cooperate with you in the High Commission, because we receive a lot of requests, and we believe that there is a lot more scope directly through the High Commission rather than NZTE, because you understand India better, and you would be in a position to. There's a lot of potential, and we can make that thing happen in the next few years. Thank you for that, High Commissioner.
Thank you, sir. Over to my next question, High Commissioner, with your permission. Why has India not signed a bubble agreement with New Zealand? Sir, you have contributed significantly to improve relations between the two countries on your personal level as well. Why did the Indian government place New Zealand on the high-risk countries list whilst Australia was not?
Well, the decision of putting certain countries, number one should not compare why it was done with Australia and why. In a similar fashion, most of the European countries, including the United Kingdom, was on that list. Yeah. This assessment is a dynamic process. Is done by the health officials. They receive inputs from health experts, those people who are in the travel industry, including the daily reporting, which they see from the High Commission. So this decision was taken perhaps on the basis of assessment made on the basis of all the inputs which they had received. It's a dynamic process. I'm sure at some point of time this will be reviewed, as New Zealand had put India on a list which was reviewed, and now India and other countries are out of the high risk category. So these are some of the processes all the governments do, and there is no malafide. Both India and New Zealand, we are best of, we enjoy best of relationship. They should not compare that X country was included or excluded. The decision to put New Zealand was on the basis of inputs which they had compiled regarding New Zealand. I'm sure at some point of time this will be reviewed, a review done by New Zealand entities.
Right. High Commissioner, this was another widely asked question, and it relates to OCI. Are there any rules, and this is how people have sent us this question, so I'm asking you exactly as it has come. Are there any rules relating to the travel of New Zealanders with OCI cards to India? Everyone in my family is fully vaccinated, and we have also had our booster doses. Do we still have to, isolate ourselves on arrival in India?
Well, OCI gives you lifelong entry visa, but does not exempt anybody from the health regulations. Okay, it's like this. I am High Commissioner accredited to New Zealand. I'll be received in a particular manner, but I had to, when I came back after a break, I had to go through the health regulations, which are applicable to all. So whether you have OCI or not, regulations pertaining to any arrival will be equally applicable to those who hold OCI or who do not. In case of passengers coming from high risk country, there's added layer of checks. So if you are going from a country which is not listed on the high risk, it's a little easier, but 7 countries which are put still on the high risk, there's additional layer of a check. So they have, after 7 days, they have to take a test, and if the test is negative, they have to upload and monitor for another 7 days, self-monitoring. The first 7 days is home isolation. On 7th or 8th day, you take a test, upload your result online, and you are monitoring your health. That's a very sensible advice given to any foreign arrivals.
Right. So this is a question of a slightly peculiar nature. This is a question we have received from an overstayer. And I'm sure, given the current circumstances, there must be quite a few of them within the Indian community. Can the High Commissioner urge the New Zealand government to consider amnesty to overstayers? I am one of them. I'm too scared to come out. I'm fully vaccinated because of the assurance given by the New Zealand government that no ID will be required to vaccinate. People have found themselves in very peculiar circumstances because of the way, our current times are. Is there anything that they can expect as, a certain kind of, assurance or a guidance, or maybe even help by way of the High Commission office?
There are 2 aspects. One is the New Zealand system, when you go for vaccination, is not asking for any passport. So if for, I mean, for some regions, they do not have their passports updated. There shouldn't be any problem so far as the vaccination is concerned. I think you have to give show maybe the driving license. Passports are never asked. Even I went as High Commissioner, they didn't ask about my passport. The second aspect is the gentleman who has asked this question. He's not the only person in such a situation. Recently, it has been brought to my light that there is a group of people who have overstayed. I would like to, through this platform, convey that, you know, the government of India or any government, we can't encourage illegal migration or overstay. We are in favor of safe and legal migration. So those who are in a similar situation, I will request them to regularize their stay. Otherwise, at some point of time, if they find difficulty, we would not be in a position to help. You know, it differs from country to country. In US, we have large number of people in such a situation. When I was heading passport, and I remember in 2014, the Prime Minister was going to US, and we had a core team set up by the government because we are hoping, and President Obama was likely to declare amnesty. And all Indian associations in US, they were working very hard to make an estimation of how many people are without legal documents. And I was tasked by the Prime Minister's office to undertake a massive exercise to give documents to some 400,000 people in the US. It's another matter that the amnesty scheme which President Obama was offering was, I think, struck by the court. It did not happen. But in New Zealand, situation is different. Here, there is a tiny section of people who are without such. So the chances of being discovered and found is very high because it's only 5 million people there. In US or Canada, perhaps, you know, there's a large number of migrants and people are not particular about this. So my request to such people would be, please try to regularize your stay. If we have to give, you know, even short-term passports to you, we will try to help. But wherever your stay is not regularized, High Commission also may not be able to give you full validity passports because your stay is likely to become irregular here. So considering the, you know, the Indian community is seen here as a very law-abiding community. We have enjoy very high reputation, particularly during the vaccination period. Our community came with flying colors for you know, for accepting government regulations and coming forward to get vaccinated in big numbers. So our community was at #1 ethnic community, foreign community to be vaccinated at such large scale. So friends, please try to regularize your stay. If we have to give some document in order to establish and make your stay legal, we'll be there. But it's a risky situation.
True. Absolutely. Agree with what you have said, sir. And I'm hoping that, you know, people do come forward and regularize their situation. They can't be, you know, in the current situation they are all their life here. We move on to our next question, sir, with your permission. This is from a student who has come from India. And this would apply to a number of students who find themselves in similar positions, especially Indian students who, you know, find New Zealand a very convenient place of study. I am a student from India. I have completed my post-graduation course in biochemistry in New Zealand. I am not eligible to apply for permanent residency under the Pathway Program. We request the High Commissioner to please take up the case for students with the New Zealand government. And the whole understanding is that they do come here, invest a lot of money in, educational institutions and come out in some cases with flying colors. And, when things were normal, they did move on to good positions. They settled down well in life here. Things have changed slightly. So is there something, High Commissioner, that you can do from your end to, obviously meet the agony that they are going through?
Well, such students are entitled to post-study visa. And so if people are able to find appropriate job and within next 3 years during the currency of the post-study visa, they are entitled to apply for permanent residency. There is no legal and automatic connection between student visa and permanent residency. I had meetings at the highest level in immigration and New Zealand education. Many times New Zealand education, in order to promote education as as service export, they overpromise. So I know they have discussion between New Zealand immigration and Education New Zealand, and Education New Zealand has been cautioned by Immigration New Zealand not to oversell prospects of settling down in New Zealand. So there is no legal and automatic pathway. They promote, they sell. This is branding. I mean, this is exercise which educational institutions do. At some point of time, it was happening, but considering the job market and different other reasons, the same may not be true at all times. So these are the factors which all the students have to bear in mind while coming to New Zealand. There is no automatic pathway to residency. There are high prospects of permanent residency, but in all cases, it may not materialize. That risk is there.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. That was, a very enlightening answer. On to my next question. Venkat, do you have anything that you would like to interject here?
I have some comments on some of the very interesting points that the High Commissioner raised in terms of the new facilities that are being created in Wellington. I will, with the permission of the High Commissioner and with your permission, take it up later on.
Okay.
And as far as the overstays is concerned, High Commissioner, we may have some suggestions which I would like to offer offline for your consideration, with some empirical experience that we have had in other parts of the world. Personally, I have had. I would like to do it in person later on. Over to you, Rashna.
Thank you, Venkat. Sir, New Zealand Indians have been protesting against some of the reforms of the Indian government here in New Zealand. How does the government of India view these protests?
Well, India, I'm representing the largest democracy in the world. And, so we have to keep the democratic credentials of India intact as we fly the flag of India. Absolutely no problem, as long as within the democratic, sanctity, views are conveyed and with a rational viewpoint and respecting each other and without disrupting the camaraderie which exists between the communities here. That's, for me, it's a key determining factor. As long as the interpersonal relations between the communities are not spoiled, they are not disrupted, people want to make their democratic choice and want to convey something which is which they find objectionable, and they want to convey their views, there's absolutely no problem. So we have taken all such protests or demonstration with a sense of in democratic spirit. But wherever they cross the boundary, like last year on 26th January, during the flag hoisting ceremony at my residence, we had 50 people on protest. But I must say they were not raising slogans. But as long as they did not cross the boundary of decency and they did not disrupt the event, well, my request to them was not to do it on the National Day, because, as I was flying the flag of India, I also expected them to join in the celebration, not to boycott. But well, people have democratic choices to make. We don't mind, as long as there's but it should not be coming at the cost of the rights of others. Recently, I have seen the discourse going on, what is Hinduism and Hindutva. As long as the discussion are happening within the limits of intellectual discourse, there is no problem. But at times people cross the boundary and the limits of civility, and they start accusing each other. That's not something I look forward to. I'm here to represent a community and a country which believes in camaraderie and interpersonal and inter-community relationship. We might be coming from Punjab, I come from Bihar, people are here from Tamil Nadu, somebody is from Orissa. Let's maintain that Indianness and harmony which exists between different ethnic groups, because India itself is a diverse country. We are representing different faiths, different religions, and so that should be utmost in our mind, not to spoil the harmonious relationship which exists between groups and communities. As long as we are able to satisfy that critical dimension, we should be working with the spirit of democracy.
Thank you very much, sir, and thank you for your honesty and openness on this topic, because I strictly maintain as well that just as much as I am a Kiwi, I'm still that much an Indian as well. And India holds a very special place in my heart. But if I conduct myself well, I am the face of where I came from as well. On to our next question, sir. Now, this is, of course, a very, very widely debated topic amongst the community, and very widely discussed as well, and very widely, anxiously awaited. It is the parent category visas. This category has been closed for a significant amount of time now. And as is with Indian culture, we want to be with our parents in their old age. We consider it as duty. We consider it also as our love and affection for them. It is a way of Indian life. Now, as you would be aware, a number of old parents are left alone in India, especially just now due to the pandemic, when their adult children cannot travel to India as often as they would like to and visit them. Neither is it possible for parents to come here now on a visitor visa category. So do you see the situation improving anytime soon? And would you have a hand in, getting this category up and alive again?
The situation is difficult, I'll be honest. When New Zealanders, they are not able to return to New Zealand due to current border setting, I don't think that the New Zealand government is in a position, well, I'm not speaking for the New Zealand government, but this is my understanding, that when their situation will be compared with Kiwis who are stuck in Australia, who are not able to make a visit because of finding no space in MIQ, etc. I don't think that New Zealand government would be in a position to make any concession at this point of time. I mean, that's my general understanding of the current situation.
Absolutely. So this is, we're coming to the last question now, and you have been fairly vocal on what you do on this topic. But because we've received these questions, and if there is something, you want to elaborate on, this is the time to do so. High Commissioner, may we request you to please elaborate on the programs being undertaken by the Indian High Commission in Wellington to support various organizations and associations of the Indian community in New Zealand?
Well, we have been very supportive. What we do and with the objective of reaching out to community groups, that's why we compile this list. Please approach us if you have any proposal, but the association must be registered, and the office bearers should be, duly elected. Whatever the internal democratic proceedings within the association. I also request such associations, whenever there is a change in office bearers, now that we have a community officer in the High Commission and there are 2 people working on and remain engaged with the community association, please update them so that we know who are the president and general secretary of the association during that particular year. If you have any proposal to make and you want to work with the High Commission, please send us proposal, and to the extent possible, we would like to work with you for building community in your town, in city, in celebration of a festival, and anything which would help in creating goodwill between India and New Zealand.
Okay, sir. And would this be available even to ethnic minority communities?
Yes, yes.
Of Indian origin?
Yes, yes.
Because the Parsis would definitely qualify as an ethnic minority.
Fact, I myself making this proposal, and I feel sorry that we have not made contacts. So let's do one event together.
Absolutely, sir. Looking forward to that. Venkatji, I'm handing it back to you. This was the end of, the questions that came to us, but I do know that you have some to ask.
I think, thank you, Rachna. Very well conducted discussion.
Thank you.
And I think we took on board almost all the subjects that were raised, although not all the questions, because as I said, we received in excess of 150 questions. I have just received another 20. Of course, the High Commissioner has covered all of them. High Commissioner, we are extremely grateful to you because the clarity that you brought to some of the issues, especially the issue of overstayers and other issues that would remove any ambiguity that might have existed in the minds of people. And I'm sure that as we go along with the channel of communication that is open from the High Commission, through channels like Indian Newslink and other publications of the Indian diaspora, we'll be able to disseminate correct information. High Commissioner, on the issue of the facilities that are proposed to be offered in the new building of the Indian High Commission in Wellington, I believe that your idea of providing small spaces to highlight the cultural aspects of perhaps the 28 states of India is an excellent exercise. And as you know, I'm the patron of the Aotearoa New Zealand Tamil Federation, and I would certainly request the president of the federation to contact you, only because as way back in the 1600s, there was a visit by through a Tamil king to New Zealand, and there is a bell which was donated to the Maori, which is in the Tipapa Museum in Wellington. So in view of the long-standing relationship that the two entities have, it would be worthwhile for the Tamil community to consider their cultural representation. And also, High Commissioner, following on the discussions that we've been having with each other for the last 2 years, we in Indian Newslink are in the process of creating a federation of all the South Indian organizations in New Zealand so that we work together for the betterment of the communities and showcase the culture. It is a non-political and non-religious body interested only in promoting arts and culture of South India. We would come to you for your guidance, advice, and most importantly, financial support in due course. With that, High Commissioner, I would like you to please conclude the proceeding with your concluding remarks on whatever you want to take further about my comments.
First of all, thank you very much for extending this platform to High Commission to create a bridge with the community. And my heart goes to the people who are stranded. And every day I check my social media, and we are following those social media posts. We remain engaged with the government, and let us see how we progress on this. Some of the things which I will discuss with the community leaders offline, how to go about this, including with Indian ICA, if they have a clout with the New Zealand government. Let's see. Let's discuss offline how we can take this matter up with the New Zealand government from time to time. I have some suggestions and very commonsensical observations to community members and public service seekers from the High Commission. I would request them to remain connected with the High Commission, and as we live in the world of social media, the High Commission is well connected. We have a Facebook page which is followed by 55,000 people. It's larger than any ministry, New Zealand ministry here. So we are quite followed up by the people here and back home. We keep updated. So to one place to get most updated information on anything is the Facebook. If we have any announcement to make, we make through Facebook. And I would like to express my gratitude to all Indian media groups who very faithfully and they relay this information to the community. So with our Facebook and with the efforts made by the Indian Community Association and media groups, our information reaches out to the community at large very fast. So reaches to us through website, through Facebook, through Twitter, through Messenger, through WhatsApp. There are multiple ways. One request to anybody who is seeking any service from the High Commission. Please read the website. The people have a tendency to ask questions for which the details are available on the website. My friend, people do not understand. When you make a call, you are in the queue. You perhaps take 5-10 minutes, somebody explains you. Whereas the information is there. Only yesterday I saw something on Messenger. I want to apply for a passport for my child. How do I apply? My friend, go to the website. If your questions are not answered through the website, then you can approach. Time is precious. Time is precious of my staff members. We are a team of 30 people. We are here to serve you. But anything which you can self-serve, please do that first. Secondly, please apply correctly and send the correct fees. There are many times that applications are held for weeks and months because you have not read the instructions, you have not sent the correct fees, and you have not sent the correct details. I know there's one case, one applicant from Canterbury region for 3 months. Can you believe he applied with wrong details? he kept on fighting with the High Commission that you have sent a passport with the wrong details. We sent him a scanned copy of his passport applications. It was all over his face, and he wanted to challenge us through on the public grievance portal that the High Commission is inefficient. We are changing his name, etc. So please read the website carefully. Please read rules and regulations and the correct fees. Email with full details rather than making a call. Many times on the tweet, they will say, High Commissioner, what is happening on my application? Suppose one Ramesh, without even giving his full name, not only full, he'll say my mother, as if I am omnipotent I know the name automatically, his mother's name and passport application, date. No, it's not real life, So please send your email, because my team, the reception team, the moment you go on, can you note down my passport application? Friend, they do not have time. There are several other people who are in the queue. So if you send your email with full details, perhaps our team will be able to respond. Even on the messenger, they will send requests with incomplete details. Social media team, the same guy, he does not have all the information about you. So unless you quote passport application or OCI reference number, he cannot go across to the team and check and respond to you. So whenever you are making any query, you are making any grievance with the High Commission, please send email with full details. Try to limit your calls. We are there to take urgent calls, but we can't go on answering basic inquiry related calls. That's the objective in mind we keep. And one thing I wanted to share, and I wanted to close with that note. During last 2 years, all offices have gone through lockdowns here and there. I'm proud to say we have never closed for a single day. We remain in the service of the community. We remain in public service. We are here to help you. We are here to protect your interests. We are here to make your life worthy. But please collaborate with us in making our activities worthwhile. Our engagement with the community and the Kiwi community at large, enjoyable exercise, and we will remain in service of the community at large. So thank you very much for this opportunity, and I wish you all well. Please take care of your health. And Indian community has done well in terms of vaccination. Let's keep the morale of the community very high.
Sir, I would just like to take a minute of your time to say thank you very much. I totally appreciate the openness and the honesty with which you've answered all our questions. And I'm going to request somebody at your end, because we have all these questions coming up on our Facebook page as well about, asking the Indian High Commission for this or that. And like you said, not complete information being sent to you. If, it allows your job to become easy and the applicant's job to become easy, we are happy to facilitate that. So if they would send us some information, in fact, I pick up a lot of information from your site and constantly put it on the page. So I will deal with somebody, who can sort of, give me that information, and we will put it up as well. So it's all for the community. This is what the group is for.
Yeah, on that score, High Commissioner, we had some years ago written constantly and told our readers, please do not make phone calls to the High Commission unnecessarily, because they're all officers working longer hours, longer than what is required. So you got to have some sympathy for them. Don't shout at them, because they're not to be shouted at. They're doing their work, they're doing their service. And what can be done through a website cannot be done through the phone calls. And I always tell them, try doing that to any other High Commission or embassy, they will just shut you off. And in fact, they might even return your application and say your service will not be provided. So, or I tell people, try calling Spark, Vodafone, or any commercial bank. You have to wait for at least 20 hours before anybody says, press 1 for this, 2 for this, 3 for this. So this is a point we will take up, High Commissioner. And thank you very much for the time that you have spent with us this afternoon. I believe, Rachna, you will agree with me that this is one of the best discussions that we have had since we began a few months ago. And let's hope to get back Mr. Muktesh Pardeshi before July 2022.
Absolutely, sir.
Hello, sir, this is Prabhu Shukla. I have a simple question, if you have time. May I?
Yeah, 1 minute, Vijay. You got just a minute.
Okay. So actually, I just filed a complaint against the immigration policy. My complaint is all rated that they are because I was in New Zealand for 20 months. I just came back in December because they are not allowing my wife. My question is that when the education consultant offering me New Zealand, they show me that New Zealand immigration provide you a visa for your partner if you do a level 9 course. In these 2 years, I paid the fees. I invested in New Zealand because New Zealand immigration is providing work visa to my partner. But due to COVID, they shut it off. What the remedy I have? I invested on their promise. My money I invested in New Zealand and invested on their promise. It is not a inter-country immigration policy and something. It is something on which their university, their education agent, their entire education system in India is working on these promises. And that's why people from level 9 course and other higher course choose New Zealand. This is the basic key element of their advertisement policy in India. It's just like that they are cheating with us. I invested my $35,000 and I'm back in India. And waited 2 years for my partner. Forget about the money, forget about everything. What about my pain?
Are you calling from India, sir?
Yes, I'm calling from India.
Okay. Can you please write to us with your case? We will try and see what can be done on an individual basis. You've got our email.
I can write to you. I already touched with the High Commission. I already write. Mr. J. Kumar already replied me. That's why I joined this meeting because, there's some confusion. That's why I just want to explain to Mr. Pardeshi that, they are advertising here. They're just allowing people on the name of partner's visa. And if their government is not doing what the remedy I have.
Yeah, we do understand your position.
I just want the answer from Mr. Pardeshi, please.
Well, my friend, a short while ago, I explained the connection between education here and immigration. While they over-advertise that by being educated here, you will get a residency, there is no automatic connection between the two. There are always some risks, and I believe now Education New Zealand, they have been cautioned by immigration people not to promise that by being schooled or being, having gone to university here, you will be automatically getting a residency. From, this is the choice you have made. If you have a grievance against the Education New Zealand or Immigration New Zealand, you must write to them. Unfortunately, High Commission beyond a point will not be able to intervene because see, the decision rests between you and the educational institution. there always some the risks are involved. And when I have taken, I have met people in Immigration New Zealand. In fact, there was a joint meeting with Education New Zealand and Immigration New Zealand, and that's why I'm sharing with you the discussion that you know, there is no automatic connection. There is no I mean, it's not that you have studied here and automatically you qualify.
Yeah, sir, I duly accept this argument. I have no reply to this, no objection to this argument. My question is that I'm not saying that my partner must get a work visa. My question is that your website, your officials, your system says she's eligible to apply.
Not my system. See, I represent government.
Oh, sorry. The New Zealand immigration system.
No, so the point I'm making.
They simply says you are eligible to apply. My question is not about the approval. My question is that she is eligible to apply, and due to COVID, they just snatched that facility to apply, which is the promise, clear promise.
Prabodji, my advice to you would be, see, there'll be, I'm sure there'll be some grievance redressal mechanism within the Immigration New Zealand or Education New Zealand.
No, sir. As High Commission advised me, I duly filed the complaint with the Immigration in New Zealand.
Yeah.
They denied me. They're saying that we cannot take any complaint against the New Zealand policy. You know, the system itself cannot take a complaint against the immigration policy. So I already forwarded the email to the High Commission, because I need High Commission to this, because I will take this to the United Nations as my individual complaint.
United Nations has nothing to do with this.
No, sir. So, sir, if you read my email, I already forwarded you the email.
Yeah.
If you go by this, because you know, I don't need the High Commission for the United Nations. I need the High Commission because I'm going to write to the foreign ministry here that if you allow some education, advertisement, and universities in India for the country where the country immigration system work like that, please don't allow such country in India, please.
I think you are not able to understand my point. My point,
sir, my point is simple, clear. I'm just saying that they offered me a facility to apply, and they snatched that facility.
With that, the Indian Foreign Ministry, beyond a point, may not be able to help out in this. You made a voluntary decision to apply for New Zealand education visa. Was Government of India, our High Commission, involved in that? No, the Government of India is not a god. Yeah, we are here to protect your interests. That's why I'm advising you that please write to Immigration New Zealand, write to Education New Zealand that, see, I was duped and you promised that I will get automatically residency, and why you are not respecting your earlier policy decision. You are correct to that extent, but my advice, talking about United Nations, etc., all countries have their own immigration laws. United Nations may not be able to help. It's not a violation of your human rights. It's if there is some misunderstanding with regard to your rights as a student here, it's only the New Zealand government can sort this out.
Sir, exactly.
Mr. Can you please interrupt and make sure that he is our respected High Commissioner and he's not supposed to answer all these questions on behalf of.
Okay, it's all right. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Shukla, you can write personally, and I'm sure the High Commissioner's office will answer that. But I'm so sorry, we cannot allow this, meeting to turn into a personal conversation for one person. As it is, we are over our time, sir. We do understand your grief and your agony. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Mr. Muktesh Pardeshi, our High Commissioner, for having spent the time with us today. Sir, I am sure you will be following up on a lot of things that you have assured us about, and we will love to have you here again with us. So thank you once again. It has been a very enlightening discussion. I personally have learned a lot, and thank you very much, Venkat, for having facilitated. So on behalf of my team at the Indians living in Auckland and every single guest who has joined us here today, thank you so much and good afternoon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Bye for now.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, High Commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.